There, Buttercups. Your resident Teabelle here. Welcome to Hark, 'tis the Teabelle. Let's dive in for that tea today, huh? So, the Lucas Theater is a big thing, but what we need to remember and really probably talk about first is the man behind this whole wonderful thing, okay? And Arthur Melville Lucas Jr. is the man. He was born in Florence, South Carolina on December 22nd of 1882. He was very close to his hometown of Florence, and it seems that his family was also very close and an important part of the community. By that, his brother, Marion, was the city's police superintendent, while his parents continued to reside on Victory Drive. So they stayed. In 1907, at 25, he entered into the field of motion pictures, and boy, was he a busy man. He also held a prominent position with multiple film companies early in his career. He directed the Grand Theater in Savannah and the Washington Film Exchange in D.C. He supervised the distribution for the Mutual Film Corporation. He was the general supervisor of Southern and Western states for the Triangle Film Company. He was also the manager of the Atlanta, New Orleans division of Goldwyn Pictures Corporation. Now, with such experience, it is no surprise he owned and directed theaters such as the Palm and Keystone in Indianapolis, Indiana. So, he did become the president of the American Theaters Corporation. This operated movie theaters throughout key cities in the South. And this opportunity put him on the path to begin developing theaters in Savannah. He took over several theaters, the Odeon and Folly theaters in Savannah, also the Rex Theater in Sumter. He even built the Rylander in Americus, Georgia, where he worked with his future business partner, C.K. Howell, or Claude. This iconic landmark is a main attraction for many visitors who desire to experience the historic district. It took 2 years and $500,000, but it was opened on December 26, 1921. Between the years of 1919 and 1921, that $500,000 would equivalent to about $8 to $9.4 million today. Now, between the hard work of Arthur Lewis and C.K. Howell, Claude, they produced one of the most beautiful theaters to be found in the U.S. Out of the 40 theaters Lucas owned, this is the only one that held his name. Has to tell you something about it. Just a thought. Savannah's cultural and political elite came out in full support on opening night. So, on opening night, they showed Buster Keaton's Hard Luck and Camille. It was widely discussed, praising the luxury and extravagance it portrayed. He even received telegrams from important people from industry executives and politicians throughout Georgia. Of course, it continued to garner attention. It was home to some of the greatest movies of the silent film era and touring vaudeville acts. In 1927, it was the first place to offer AC, which made it an essential stop on wicked hot summer days in beloved Savannah, Georgia. And y'all, that sounds like an awesome marketing technique to me. Arthur Lewis was so proud of his legacy that he kept a memory book full of clippings that was discovered in a secluded part of the theater. Now, Lucas was a very generous man, and he had a long-held love for his community. He would send tickets to newborns so they could enjoy time at his theater once they were able to do so. And he even kept in touch with employees who had been drafted during World War II. They weren't simply an employee to him, they were family. And boy, did this building, this whole thing, have some efforts to keep it afloat and keep it as glamorous and luxurious as it was. The theater operated until 1976, the tricentennial. When they closed, they chose to show The Exorcist. Fitting. Only 3 days after it closed, the ABC Southeastern theaters tried to demolish the building. The Savannah Historic Foundation declined, and they made the decision to restore it. It took 11 years, but in 1987, Emma and Lee Adler started a nonprofit group, the Lucas Theater of the Arts. It took 23 years to complete the restoration of this great place. And y'all, it was a bit rocky, but support arrived like wildfire. Okay? There were some celebrities, such as Clint Eastwood, who held the wrap-up party for his film Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil in June of 1997. That sounds a little bit familiar. I think we know something about that. And Kevin Spacey hosted a black tie fundraiser and gave a sizable donation of $200,000 to assist them. So, December 1st, 2000, 88 years from its original opening, the Lucas reopened its doors. And they chose the film. A great, great film that I think a lot of people think and believe was a statement from them to show Gone with the Wind. Now, if anybody knows anything about Gone with the Wind, you know that they had to persevere and overcome obstacles to get where they were. And that's what they were going to do, darn it. Nowadays, the theater holds close ties with the Savannah College of Arts and Design, known as SCAD, and you can enjoy a myriad of events, such as opera, orchestras, cabarets, country music, the Savannah Film Festival, the Savannah Philharmonic, and the Savannah Music Festival, probably among many other events. And of course, this would not be a true good, loving Savannah ghost story without its ghostly ghosts. Now, besides the great building, its history, or the events it holds, the ghostly guests add to its allure. Some of the spectral events shouldn't surprise any one of us. And there's probably more that we don't know about, let's be fair. There are shadow people, applause in empty sections, and while some stories can be understood to be more plausible, tall tales should be expected. Okay? It is said that a group of gangsters opened fire with their Tommy guns on the unexpected crowd of patient moviegoers waiting to enter. The ticket taker attempted to flee into the theater, but he was shot in the back. There are some issues with this tale, though. There are no police reports or newspaper articles on it. Although, some have claimed to see the spirit of the ticket taker fleeing into the theater. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not saying it happened. But it is possible, right? Maybe it was kept under wraps. Other stories have been, but we will never know. And you have to remember that as close as perhaps this set of employees was, based on what Arthur Lucas did for his employees who were drafted into the World War, they probably messed around, played with each other and throughout the theater, right? One young man did, and in the 70s, he wanted to friendly scare an employee, a female employee, possibly a friend of his. So he stood in a dark room, waiting out to jump out and scare her. Suddenly, though, he felt a presence in the room, even though he could clearly see no one else in the room. Whoever it was observed and watched this young man so much so that it took the wind out of his sails, and he left that darkened room and lost his penchant for hiding in dark corners, which, if it's me, I don't blame him. Can you imagine trying to scare someone and being scared yourself? Just saying. Just thoughts. Just thoughts. And remember, there was that massive restoration, right? After it was declined to be demolished. So that restoration probably also helped events along. So someone did try to delay the progress, though. There was an AC leak located above the balcony. The crew rigged up a solution which involved a funnel that led into a well-secured hose into a 5-gallon bucket so the excess water wouldn't damage anything. The lid was left on the bucket. This is very important. The next morning, it appeared as if someone or something moved the hose because it was no longer in the bucket and it had been pulled out of the hole on the lid of the bucket. It was said that it would have to take a lot of strength to achieve this because it was secure, y'all. But this little stunt nearly cost $10,000. Luckily, the premiere wasn't affected, but you can imagine the stress it added. And of course, you have to know that it is a theater that showed movies, so something about that room would have to pop up, right? Well, it did. Workers would report hearing sounds of a projector whirling and lights from the projection booth. Except there was no projector hooked up. So somebody was in there doing their job still. Just didn't even care about the people outside, which would probably ghost to them, right? You can visit the Lucas Theater today. It is at 32 Abercorn Street. And if you so desire, you can tell us everything you experienced there because I'm sure somebody out there has to know that there's weird stuff going on there. And I am here for it. We all are here for it if you're listening to this podcast right now. Because you know what? We do spooky here. We really do. So, with that said, I appreciate all of you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this episode on the Lucas Theater of our beloved Savannah, Georgia. As an edit, the website is informing us that it is temporarily closed for renovations and will reopen October 25th, 2025, and they are looking forward to seeing you again. Buttercups, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. And if you did, and you have comments or questions or even suggestions on what we should be talking about, which I would totally go for, you can email me at harktisthetebelle@gmail.com. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube, and the Facebook. All right. But I hope you guys have a spectacular week, and I can't wait to see you next week.